you're ready anytime. Challenge you? Damn. Alright, I'll challenge you then. Is it because I'm not in your friends list? I'll give you a lot of time. That way you can think through your blue-red plays. Bandit Keith. What should our skill level be? Let's just starting out. Watchers allowed. We're streaming it, but sure, you can watch. Can I set the time limit? What am I missing? Why can't I hit? Okay. Oh, I can only pick one. Okay. I think cutting Kalidas for Shade is super loose. We want more cows if it wasn't a 4-mana legend. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Alright, we're on the draw, which is kind of unfortunate. And we don't have any discard. But we do have 2 removal spells for Shredder, which is important. And a Graveyard Trespasser. So we do have a good curve against their good curve. If I draw a 2-drop or a Thoughtseize and I miss on lands, we're in a fine spot. Obviously, we just miss lands. We're in a bit of danger. No plays. Is it for victory points or for fun? We are just playing for fun. For science, I guess. Thank you for resubscribing for 3 months. Let's go. Bend and iteration. Okay. Hit Trespasser, Hazard, some other stuff. Chooses Fiery Impulse and Temporal. Okay. So I assumed if they had a if he had a Shredder, he would have played it. I assume. Maybe that's an incorrect assumption. I don't think playing Trespasser here impacts the graveyard enough to deal with a Treasure Cruise. We know that they have some amount of, like, they at least have 1 Fiery Impulse. So I don't want to commit my Graveyard Trespasser to the graveyard. Because if they're missing on discard, I don't want to give them an opportunity to discard. We are still just looking for discard of our own. Like, Thoughtseize is very powerful here. And I have, like, this Kalidas, which is kind of dead. This Dreadbore, which is kind of dead. And this Fable... they put one on top. This Fable controls the board pretty well. So if we can keep board control... They must have drawn this off the opt. We're not in the worst position. I think I want to discard this and this. If I draw a land next turn, I really need to hit a discard spell. I have to kill this. Maybe keeping this Kalidas is really loose. I guess he did show me his deck list. I can just take a little look. I'm about to disconnect due to inactivity. No, I'm not. Shut the fuck up. Do this. Oh, we hit the second push anyways. That's nice. Eat this iteration. Okay. Are we already testing go for the throat? We are not. Maybe I'm not supposed to play this. I did want to deal with this, and I want to play these two next turn. I could have played this and pushed here, but then they have this. If they have a cruise, which isn't... I guess it is likely. If they have cruise, though, it is hard for them to do this. And them drawing 6 isn't exactly relevant, because they have to discard a bunch. Maybe I'm just supposed to let them cruise. The unfortunate thing is if they have removal spell plus discard Phoenix. I mean, I guess I have Kalidas push. They have to, like, spin their wheels a bunch. This is fine. This is certainly beatable. Yeah, the cruise might not be good. I mean, it, even if they have to discard, I'm sure it is good for them, but obviously it could be better. Saying it's not good for them is, like, probably disingenuous. Interesting. They're playing a consider. Been to consider. They get Lightning Axe and they go to 7. Just fine for me. I guess it's fine unless they go exactly discard Phoenix. Oh, it's just Fire Impulse, sure. They discard a land. I would have liked a Thoughtseize. One, 2, 3, 8. Been through one Shredder. Bear's still at 20, and our opponent has been through both their Galvanic iterations. They have 4 Shredders, 4 Phoenixes. We've been through 1 Shredder. There's the second one. Yep. Discard another land. So if they had a Phoenix, they definitely would have discarded it. They put a card on the bottom. Another land. Like because you prioritize getting flashback card out of the graveyard because you don't want it 0 value or Cletus exposing it to removal. Both. What do you think about the new 2/2? I think it's okay. Did they time walk? They did. One of the ways that Phoenix goes from like no cards to like winning the game really fast is just like Galvanic Iteration, Temporal Trespass. I want to try to prevent that from happening as often as possible. Okay, there we go. I wonder if they held this until this turn. I mean, they probably wouldn't do that, right? Yeah, you just hit it now. They're just taking some game actions for sure, for sure. Choose just Fiery Impulse. Let's have another. Cruise? Yeah. They've been through no lightning axes, which is certainly a problem when I'm going to be leading on this Cletus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Not having Thoughtseize early was rough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. How many axes are we playing? 4 lightning axe. They've been through 0 spell pierces too. I think he only plays 2. Yeah, he only plays 2. Whatever. Only has 3 cruises. Been through both trespasses. 2 cruises. Try and wait to the party, boys. All right, so his current list doesn't have any blasting stations, has a search for his Kanta, has 2 sweltering suns, a behold the multiverse, and an extra treasure cruise. Also has 2 of braids, which I assume he'll bring in for the unlicensed hearse. I'm not sure if he'll have spell pierce on the draw. The Croxa bug is not fixed. Yeah, unfortunately. Alright. This is a good hand. I just need some lands. Did bring in Multiverse. Could skew things, yeah. It is certainly a consideration that I will be thinking about in certain spots. If I feel like I think Croxa is good in this matchup. But it is rare that it makes a big impact in general. Alright, so they've been to that consider. They have an unknown. Land? Really? Not quite. Put a card on top. Okay. Opt and Lightning Axe did not play a land. Eat this, eat this. They go to 8, they go to 7, they go to 6, they go to 9. I'm kind of surprised they didn't take that Spike Field Hazard last turn and play the land. I thought they would want the 4th land, but I guess not. Maybe he just would rather have spells instead of a bunch of lands in case he draws land here. We did bottom 1 off this op. Because if they have a bunch of Lightning Axes, they want cards to discard. Especially if I play a Trespasser. Did play a land last turn? Oh, it's turn 4 now. Did I time walk myself? That's crazy. Guess I did. Yeah. I thought this was turn Turn 5. Never mind. You just have some land slump. If he discards a Phoenix, he can play blue source. Discard this. Okay. Ugh. I wanted to hold the duress in case I can double spell. Because if they play Shredder next turn, I want to be able to push it. Because we are just behind on mana. We need to find a way to catch up. Also, if I go blank them and they discard some... Like, I don't know how many cards Delve spells he sideboarded out. But if he like discards some Delve spells, it's not unlikely that he has more in his hand, right? Which, like, the duress will be good if he goes pieces something else. I'd rather pick the Delve spell after he pieces this turn, because I think he needs a turn to set back up, especially with this unlicensed Hearse in play, pressuring the graveyard. Axe Cruise. I don't know what he kept. I think there was maybe an argument to hearse my own graveyard last turn to make it a 6/6 or an 8/8. I thought about it after I passed back to my turn. It's like shoving for 8 there instead of 4. They'd be at 6 and this would be lethal. They would have to double axe it and they have no cards in their hand. And I'd still have this in play. The following turn at least. They could have axed it this turn and then I would have this in play. I think this is the play I'm going to make this turn. And eat 2 cards out of my own graveyard. It's lethal now. I still have a 4/4. They played a Rivergrade pathway, but they have to deal with this hearse either way. And I am not sure how they can win from this position. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I guess they could draw other treasure cruise upstairs and like just start going, but I do have lethal in play. I did miss a land drop, you're right. Cool. I like this. I like this configuration. Hello, Burnt Bison. How are you today? The power of Thoughtseize. I think I'm switching from red black mid to Karuga fires. Am I an idiot? I mean, I don't think that's a smart move, but I think there's validity to it. Karuga fires is much more a meta call than an actual, like, good, powerful call. So, like, you just kind of have to hope that your meta call is a good one rather than just one that works out. Fuck! I think at the end of this session, the takeaway is the match was just close. People who are saying it's super favorable one way or the other are selling something. I think the people who are saying that are just either outplaying their opponents, or their opponents are just playing drastically worse than they are, or they're getting lucky. Which both can be true, I think. Because I played against a lot of Phoenix players, not Kanister, for example, who I think maybe played not optimally, or followed some heuristics in the Phoenix deck that weren't necessarily true, and failed because of it. I think Kanister putting in work in the deck obviously has influenced some things, right? And I do think the matchup is closer than some people believe it to be, but I do think red-black is favored. Rensor's next turn. I can do the spell. Just gonna play this and hope they don't have another cruise. Pieces, can I be a pieces? This turn cycle is going to be the turn cycle that impacts the game the most. It's possible that last turn cycle did, when Kanister put 2 threats into play and I didn't kill either of them. If I hit a red, like an untapped red source, I would have just killed both and shoved. I get to pressure my board advantage. I know they have an Abrade, but trading an Abrade for a Harvester is fine. Especially if I have 4 mana, I can just untap and play my Shieldred. Obviously, they have good draws and pieces and Cruise, which puts me back behind again. Leaving Double Shredder in play is also a liability. They can just make their creatures big enough so that they can just get free blocks on my creatures. But I think I have to use all of my mana. I could have Dreadboard plus discarded a Trespasser. They didn't do anything pre-combat. What a draw. What an absolute draw. I should do this first. Letting this Graveyard Glutton flip was really good for me. And this Stress was a really good draw. I'm not sure if I'm going to fire it off this turn. The no play on 4 mana makes me feel like they have Sweltering Suns or something. Or another removal spell. I ran in the Blood Tithe Harvester because they have to double spell here in order to Abyss it. And if they do that and target the Glutton, they're discarding their last card anyways. And then they just have a Ledger Shredder. Does it seem to like pierce against you? Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna hold this Duress. I don't want this to flip. If they reacted to this Dreadbore, I might have I think it's best just to go to combat here. Axe. Okay. They do have a lot of good draws here. I think that's something to obviously think about. Okay. What? No, I wanted to draw my card. Why won't it let me draw? Oh, this is my match from earlier. Rude. Alright, who's on to play that game? dope. Fuck. I think this hand's bad. The unfortunate thing is, like, I have multiple answers to Shredder, which is the most important thing in this matchup out of blue-red. But if my opponent just has pieces draws, Crocs is also really good against their removal. If they just have a bunch of removal, I'm gonna keep, but I think on average this is incorrect. It matches up against one side of their range, but not the other side. If one push was a giant, it would be a bit better. Do you agree? Not really. Giant doesn't deal with Shredder. I think, like, it would be so marginal if it was better, it wouldn't be worth talking about. If this Dreadbore was like a Sheoldred, a Fable, a Thoughtseize, there's a lot of cards that would make this hand substantially better, but I don't know. I think having answers to Shredder is very important. Maybe I'm over evaluating the impact of Shredder and tunnel visioning because of that. Because if my opponent doesn't have Shredder, that part of my range is really weak to the non-Shredder hands. For example, I mean, we drew land. So, is Crocs still bugged? Crocs is still bugged, yeah. I guess on the other end of the spectrum, he didn't have answer for Fable on 3, which would have been my best possible. But if he has something like an answer for a Trespasser, discard Phoenix, we are in a bit of danger. Sorry, way to the wordy boys. Didn't discard a Phoenix. I have to go pee. This is match 2. I should probably update the thing on. Yeah, the winner gets a kiss. A big smooch. If you win, you get Kanister's clout. Yeah, but I have to start listening to gachi music. When I was going P, I thought about channeling this Sokenzan. It's funny because if this Croxa wasn't bugged, I think actually channeling Sokenzan and hoping to draw a 1-mana interaction spell like a Thoughtseize, or hoping they play a Shredder and flashing back Croxa is the correct play. I could have also channeled the Sokenzan, pushed one of the tokens, and got back the Croxa, but I think that's also like mildly incorrect. It's interesting that the Croxa is bugged because I do think it would have changed my line slightly, and I would have channeled this Sokenzan. It didn't end up mattering because it seems like Kanister doesn't have any Phoenixes to discard, or he does. He just doesn't have a way to put them in the graveyard. Could also just have a bunch of discard. I'm gonna play this Blood Crypt and pass, I think. What's the bug? Crox's flat escape cards cost their escape cost plus the mana cost. So for example, Croxa costs triple black, triple red. Uro costs triple green, triple blue. Discard Phoenix, yep. Think about Sokenzan when peeing too? Damn. Who's up thinking about magic cards while they pee? Thank you. What? All right. Land. They only have 7 cards in their bin. I feel like they have to have a bunch of spot removal. Not having a third spell to get back this Phoenix. Been through 2 considers, chart of course, opt, cruise, galvanic. They could just have also like double time walk pieces. What was the reasoning behind not channeling Sogen Zen on this turn's main phase? I think the 2 damage is irrelevant, or like almost irrelevant, and I think that representing like Stomp or something is better. Yep. There's another spot where just like not having Thoughtseize is really important. Would you play 4 Misery Shadow in Rakdos midrange? No, I would not. Definitely not. That's the one thing I'm sure of. 4 is way too many. I think if you want to play any, it's 2 or 3. You think Misery Shadow is good enough? What do you mean good enough? Like, things aren't about, like, always if they're good enough or not. It's about filling a role. Am I dead? I am dead. Close. That was the hand where I had that sketchy keep, right? Yeah. Their draw was a bit slow. So I could have... I mean, I definitely could have mulliganed. I think that game played out well, considering the first, like, 4 or 5 turns. It's chat that found lethal. No, whatever. Lethal's lethal. Doesn't matter who finds it. The point is that it happened, right? Something, something, turn 1 Thoughtseize, something, something. And I drew that. They discarded an opt. So they played the chart. We know 4 of the 5 cards in their hand. I'm just gonna go blank you. Discarded Phoenix Impulse. Man, I was supposed to jam this. Okay. Bin Shredder. Eat this chart, of course. If you turn 2 Thoughtseize in Pioneer and turn 1 Thoughtseize in Modern, does that mean you should turn 0 Thoughtseize in Legacy? Yep. All true. Yep. Who's up flipping their graveyard gluttons? Any graveyard gluttons in chat? Anybody a glutton at the graveyard? I mean, that was pretty good. We had Go Blank and Dress. I don't know how much else you can ask for. Any gluttons? So draw Go Blank and you win. I mean, it's not that simple, but Go Blank certainly helps a lot. I will not dismiss the impact that Go Blank has on the matchup. Yeah. That game looked easy. I mean, Kanister was on the draw. He mulled the 6. I dressed him. Took the best card in his hand and then had, like, good impact for the rest of the game, right? Like, obviously that's the game plan of red-black, but Kanister did mull the 6. And, yeah, I don't know. What other matchups would you bring in Go Blank? I'm bringing it in against, Karuga. I've been bringing it in against other like enigmatic. I would consider it against blue-white, but it depends on the exact sideboard configuration because that does change based on how many ins and outs you have already. Treasure Cruise, Lightning Axe. Maybe I'm not supposed to kill that turn. I'm just supposed to gem the hearse. Then I have to kill it this turn, and we're in a very similar position. But it doesn't really change that much actually. They have 2 less cards, but they get to keep this cruise. Oh. Oh. Oh no. I guess Kanister's PC blue screened. Thank you for resubscribing, or yeah, resubscribing, Jacob Pablo. So matches where like you challenge somebody, challenge matches I guess you can call them, they have a really short disconnect timer on them, so it is realistic that Kanister just like loses this game because his PC blue screened. There are some things that the new set has that we can play. Yeah, I mean, it's not a win. I don't think it's distinct who's ahead here. I also don't know the last card in Kanister's hand, and I don't know what his draw step is, and we don't know what 3 cards he's going to get off Treasure Cruise. He might reconnect, but I mean, like, if his computer actually blue screened, then it's unlikely that he connected and reconnects in time. The Baby Worm Coil, that card's not good. I will tell you that right now. That card is not good. Thoughts on Noxus Grasp against Karuga? Not good. But it's Worm Coil. It's not good. Do you think you're ahead, behind, favored right now if you DC? I think we're at parity. But Kanister has the I don't know if it's privilege or opportunity to change that. There are some, like, he has a Treasure Cruise which draws him 3 cards. Statistically, those 3 cards are just going to, like, they're more resources, right? So it's like he has the potential to, like, pull ahead, right? Does he? Depends on what those 3 cards are. So there's always an opportunity, because there's randomness in Magic, that your opponent draws 3 lands or draws more removal. That doesn't matter, or whatever, right? So it's not clear to me who's ahead, because Kanister has some things to, like, hoops to jump through to get to a point where he's beating my board. What cards do you think will be played in Rakdos? I find Liliana to be very helpful versus Karuga Fire, Yori on Fires. I mean, maybe. I think that's a hard ask on average to have Liliana be consistent because they have so many cards that just cost a lot of mana that like break parity. It's one of the reasons why I don't think Liliana is very good. Chatting. It's a good draw. They have Pearson now. I start casting these. Anybody up being held by the multiverse? Thoughts on having Invoke in the side for Mirror and Karuka? I think having Invoke for Karuga is fine. I was thinking about that, but I'm not sure if it's actually very potent. I don't think Invoke is amazing in the mirror. I think Bankbuster is significantly better. So early to the party, boys. So, if they Lightning Axe before I attack, they can't Spell Pierce. Which means I can Thoughtseize. I can Fable plus Thoughtseize post-combat. And maybe get the good one they loot into. If they do Lightning Axe pre-combat... I mean, I guess I can Thoughtseize first and take the potential spell. I can also just wait. I guess it's up to him to make this choice. Need a shoddy that beholds me the multiverse. Who's up beholding their multiverse? I guess I can just do both if I shock this in. Because I'll have 6 mana. I do go to 16 though. No blocks. 2 free points of damage. They do have a Shredder in play, which is a threat. But they really have to use this threat to like pressure and push them ahead. Otherwise, I think they will fall behind. This is a 2/4. I have a Hive. I'm winning the race. They can Galvanic Iteration, Lightning Axe. Start attacking with this hers. Just jam this Phoenix, shove for 5. They do that. They discard this Pierce with Lightning Axe. I go to 14, I go to 9. I think I'm gonna take this Phoenix. Are you winning, son? It's close. Do people board in K command and a Brave for the mirror? Does it affect our banks post board? I mean, like, sure, but like whatever. Do you side out Tarmogoyfs if your opponent brings in like removal? Put a card on top, put a card on the bottom. This puts them to 7. race. No, they have this. They discarded this. They used this. Time with both goblin shamans. So a free block doesn't exactly do anything. They have to lightning axe. This thing for 3, but 11. Yeah, this is greedy. Alright, your turn. Something is wrong with my background. Oh, it's the light. Why is it like that? It's just the reflection from the sun in my window. It'll be gone in a bit. Fiery Impulse, Lightning Axe. Okay. This picture of me. Send me a picture of yourself, Mason. I'll make it the background. Croxa is still bugged, yeah. Hasn't played land yet. Oh yeah. I wonder if we drew an untapped red source that doesn't kill us. Are you gonna celebrate winning regionals with a 24-hour stream? No. If I win regionals, I will be taking a week off. About 2.4 hours stream. What is 0.4 of an hour? 50%. 0.5 is 30. 24 minutes. He was dead. Oh no, you got a 1. Also, pictures sent. People love to give subs after you win an event. Do they? 1 day right away. 24 minutes? Nice. Yeah. Save image. Sure, and go to downloads. Mason 1. In downloads. Why will this not save as a photo? So they cast this, they cast this. Okay. 1 card. Alright. Save image. Why will this not let me save this as an image? Oh, there we go. Mason 1. Discard land. Okay. Okay. Don't have a haul. Why hazard instead of axe? Because neither of these things hit anything on the board. If he wants to discard a card to kill a creature, I think I'm good with that. I think. I just needed him not to be able to get the Phoenix back the following turn. And I think hazard prevented that from happening more. Could be wrong about that. Maybe I should be taking axe in case I draw exactly a creature I need to stick it. Is Search for Canna a real card? Yeah? Hey, what do you mean? Is 1-0 matches or games? Matches. Is 2 go blanks and 2 Hearse a little redundant? Would you rather play 1 or 2 of one or the other? No. They do different things. And I think it's important to notice that. I think you want to have 4 or 5 discard spells. Currently I have 3 duress, 1 go blank. If Phoenix is as prevalent as I think it will be, I would play 2 go blanks and maybe 3 duress, although it is a hard ask to like put that many sideboard cards towards Phoenix when like I think you are favored without all that stuff. Like I know it's only been 2 matches, but I do feel like I have had a good grasp of what's been going on in these matches so far. And I only have 1 go blank. Wouldn't Leyline be better? No. I think Leyline sucks. Too polarizing. Also worse against the other matches. Kanister said 3 or 4, so... I've learned I wanted in regards to Search for Canada. I will swap it for a Crackling Drake. Okay, cool. Let me know when you're good to go again. Go blank, Leyline. When you bring a go blank, Grease, Phoenix, blue white. I think I'd also bring it in against like Karuga decks or Yorion decks. I'm not sure I would bring it in against blue white. I mentioned this earlier, but Bringing it in against blue-white is an interesting thing because I think it depends on what your sideboard configuration is. I don't think Go Blank's bad against blue-white. I just don't think it's good. To the point where, like, I don't want to dedicate, like, a sideboard slot for it against blue-white. Moto! I think we're just starting out still. $21. Can you do something for me? 21. I think Kanister is supposed to be on the play this match. 21. Can you do something for me? Is it incorrect to bring 0 consumes all to the RC? No. I don't think there are many incorrect things you can do as long as you can, like, logically justify them. That's the whole point about, like, Magic. If you don't think that there's going to be sacrifice, like, Witch's Vengeance is better against the random creature decks. But, like, you are just loose to sacrifice. So, like, you just have to be willing to live with that result. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'm weak to sacrifice, or I'm weaker to sacrifice than normal. But I am strengthening my matchup against this other deck. It's all about, like, small edges, right? Based on what I've seen around, I don't expect much sacrifice. I don't know if I'll bring a consumes all to my RCs. But, I also am, like, willing to recognize that if somebody plays sacrifice against me, I am just weak to them. Little give, little take. Yeah, little sacrifice. Put a card on the bottom. L Shredder. Shred me. New Shadow is great versus sacrifice. I think that's a really... I don't know if that's true. Great versus sacrifice is pretty close to as extreme you can get. The problem with sacrifice has never been that their cards go from the graveyard and come back. It has to do with Claim the Firstborn and a lot of other cards like that. To just be like, oh, it's great versus sacrifice because their cats can't come back is like, well, what about Claim the Firstborn? Or what about Mayhem Devil, right? It's just... it's like not true, right? it's probably not great versus Sacrifice. It might add a small percentage point, but realistically, it's not going to change that much. You consider that diabolical intent will be broken? It would be, I did not consider that, no. I also think diabolic intent makes the deck worse. So if somebody wants to make their deck worse, they're welcome to. Oh, we drew the Treasure Cruise? Nice. Yeah, Liliana also bannable. Absolutely broken. What about the new artifact Skull Clampish Crown? Yeah, that card's broken. It's literally Skull Clamp. You're torn between Midrange and Sacrifice? Damn, those are not close choices. This game. Drew an answer to the Shredder. Oh. Damn, I wonder if this means he'll know I have a Trespasser in my hand. I think it's better to play this to try and kill this Phoenix next turn and then play Graveyard Trespasser and just hope that their hand's bad. Your board's fine. I think it's good. Can you give us a general idea of what we should be prioritizing in this matchup pre and post board, please? What do you mean prioritizing? I don't quite understand the question, I guess. Yeah, I mentioned this last game, or last match, game 1, where I talked about keeping a hand that I thought was loose, but was really good against the Ledger Shredder range. And I think you have to identify how your opponent's going to win and try your best to stop that. And Phoenix is very volatile and has a lot of different ways to win. And so it's hard to pinpoint every single one, but the important thing to recognize is that you can do that and play accordingly. We're good here. Did we mulligan this game? We did, right? We were down a resource. Yeah. I mean, we drew Thoughtseize early and we had removal for the first Shredder, but they had the second one too. And the unchecked cruise was annoying. I mean, they drew it after I Thoughtseize, which like it's going to happen. They could have also drawn pieces, which would have been very good for them too. But I think obviously one of the biggest issues was that we didn't have an answer for the second Shredder. said last game that you have a good idea of what this matchup is about. I was wondering if you can explain on that. Yeah, everything about mid-range decks, specifically this one, I guess, to be specific, is just about understanding like your role assessment. I've said this a lot. You just have to identify your role. I've played a lot of like very intricate games with Kanister now, where I am up 2-0 matches. Somebody said that he made a mistake in one of them that cost him a match, but like, still, where I've lost game 1 both times, right? So like I said, you have to identify how you're losing, and then you have to identify how to beat that. And that's just about role assessment. Sometimes that means you have to get aggressive. Sometimes that means you have to make weird lines and hold your spells a specific time because you need your opponent to like not be able to play into them, right? Like there's a lot of nuance to it. It's very hard to just be like, oh, you need to answer this every turn or whatever, right? Like last game I talked about the importance of dealing with Shredder early, or last match, but then game 1, like they didn't have a Shredder and I had a bunch of removal and we just stared at our opponent while they spun their wheels for multiple turns. And like the point was not that I was like, I could have lost a Shredder if I didn't have removal, but I ended up losing because I didn't have threats, or I wasn't able to pressure, and I wasn't able to stop that from happening. So although I identified like a way to not lose, I lost to a different way to lose. I am winning. I do have matchup breakdowns on my Patreon, yes. The $10 one, I wrote a very in-depth one a couple weeks ago. That hasn't changed much because I don't think the format's changed that much. Land? Not a land. Do you have a testing team? I do not. Are we usually hit something that killed us or just too far behind? Well, we knew the contents of his hand, and based on that, it was probably impossible to win. If you go back and watch the actual game, there's not a way we untap the following turn, so it is much better to just concede. New set, yeah, there's some new cards I like. On top. What if we kissed in the just starting out room? JK, unless. Do we discard that land? Is this it? Thank you. Opinion on go for the throat. It's okay. What are we doing on our end step here? Oh, we're foretelling a card? Sure. Who's up dashing their dogs? The staple of the best. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't kill boat. Any boaters? Anybody have their boating license? They probably just have a bunch of removal in their hand then. We are pretty far behind though. Put 2 on top, 0 on the bottom. No lightning axe? You don't have triple red. Oh, we're pieces of the puzzling. There's no way you don't put a card on the bottom. 23 cards left in your library. You have to hit lightning axe at some point. Put a card on top. Boo! Put a card on top. Who's up? Dash from their dogs. It's me. I'm up. Dash from my dogs. Sorry I'm late to the party, boys. $12 cards. We're gonna lightning axe our own Phoenix to get back the other Phoenix. Anybody up charting a course? Oh. Sorry, I'm late to the party, boys. Is this the best deck to take to an RC? I don't fucking know. Maybe. I don't know. Probably not. Let's just say no. I'm just gonna say no. It is unlikely we are not dead, but... Yeah, I say sorry I'm late to the party, boys, all the time in Paper Magic. I think it's impossible to answer, is this the best deck to take to an RC, when there are so many different variables that go into deciding deck list for an RC. Often there is no just like you need to take this or you're losing type beat to an RC kind of thing. And I think if you think that, I guess there could be like an actual broken deck. Like if a deck is going to be banned, then like yeah, take that deck to a big tournament. But like realistically, nothing in this format is going to be banned. It's just a good format. It's just like there's a lot of viable decks and a lot of different options to be like, is this the best deck to play? It's like I don't know. I don't know what you're playing against. I don't know if you have any other info. I don't know if like what you're expecting. I don't know. It's just like impossible to say. Here's Fable should be banned, so y'all should play that. Isn't that mono green? No. You know what? Now we're getting serious, I think. Please update your loss. Oh, true. Oh. This hand's rough. Hello. What do you think of Gataxi and Puppeteer for Pioneer? I don't know what that card does. I need to update this. Land? Not the land I wanted. It is an awkward land to draw, yeah. It's reanimate that also has Shoulder's effect. I don't know. Probably not good. Just gonna ask if this isn't better turn 1 castle because of the risk of drawing man land. That is the only punish, yeah. Drawing an animate land. Turn 1 castle instead. But it's better to do this, no, yeah, I guess it is better to play this first. Always. When they play River Glide. Their hand. They played this, I believe. Yeah, if I could have played one of these Trespassers on 3, I think we would have been pretty far ahead. It's interesting. Little oopsie poopsie. What game is this? Oh, it must be game 1. Okay. How come there's a handsome man on the screen? This is a paid sponsorship by Mason. This is a reminder that he's looking over you at all times like God. And that sin is sin, and you shouldn't do it. Will he point out your missed baubles? He will. Praise be. Am I winning? I think so. Maybe not in this game. Thank you for gifting a sub. Gifted 4 subs in this channel. Nice. Were you part of the church choir back in your heyday? No. Definitely not. I think I've been to church like once. Was not for me. Not playing that land. That one turn was really rough. Just didn't do anything for a whole sequence. Alright, I'm ahead out. They discarded the Otawara. Okay. Yeah, the way this game's played out, if I played my lands in the right sequence, the turn they pieces, I could have attacked for at least another 3. It would have been harder for them to temporal trespass too, because they would at least have 1 less card in their graveyard if they didn't kill it immediately, and that makes it so they wouldn't be able to pieces, and then they wouldn't have been able to treasure cruise the following turn. I mean, they could have gone pieces cruise, but then they don't have board control. Yeah, this game is like ever so slightly different, and it snowballs. I guess they don't have this consider in their hand. Just hardcast it. Let's go. If I draw untapped land here, not being able to flashback this Crocs, it might be big. I guess I could also just draw push. Yeah, Kanister's playing the Challenger deck. What's your opinion on Crocs in the matchup? I think it's really good. That would have been a really good 7. Would have been a really good 7. And yeah, it makes them discard a card in the deck. They want to discard things. Yeah, true. True. Never thought about it like that. One on top. Put Sweltering Suns in the bin. Who's up? Dashing their dogs. Would you rather play 4 Crocs or 0? Neither. I don't want either of those options. They seem pretty bad. How real is this rivalry? What do you mean? It's not really a rivalry, I would say. Lighting axe and consider. I really wish we didn't mulligan this game. Spell Pierce, another bin. You can tell him. I think I'm gonna play this afterwards. Does the background image Mason approve or disapprove of the current performance? Can't tell with the facials. Yeah, it's hard to say. Is it the third pieces? It is. What game is this? Yeah, definitely ran a little cold this one. Did I mulligan this game? What happened here? I did mull. I mulled the 6 both games, I believe. Oh no, I kept that one game. Hello?
Can you hear me, Derek?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, seems like the chat can also hear you. I hope.
All right,
Chat,
my
let me know,
chat.
chat.
My chat, can you hear Kanister?
Raz, dwa, trzy, test.
I'm gonna turn you up a bit. Yeah. Okay, cool.
All right, Derek. So I have first question I have for you is what is your sideboard strat in this matchup? What is that you do?
I bring in the 3 duress, 1 go blank, 2 unlicensed hearse. I cut 2 Kalitas, 2 bone crusher, the abrade, and a croxa.
So 3 duress, go blank, unlicensed hairs. You cut 2 Kalitas, 2 bone crusher, and a croxa. That's 5 cards. Something else?
The abrade.
Yeah, understandable. Croxa a bit weird right now with the bug, right? Because I assume it's pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't know how you would sideboard. I know you have pyros in your sideboard. I know for a long time people thought pyros were good against red-black, so I was leaving in some amount of bone crushers, but with the bug, I would also the other consideration is leaving in the second croxa and cutting a bone crusher, but I like bone crusher sometimes against you, and I don't know if you're bringing in pyro or not, so I think it's okay to have the second one over the second croxa, but
we did not see a pyromancer in 4 matches, and that is because they haven't sideboarded them in.
Yes.
Like, conceptually it makes very little sense to me. I know that it's like the default hive mind plan, the thing that people repeat, that oh yeah, pyro is great against red black because it beats graveyard hate or something, but you're bringing a like 2/1 creature that relies on surviving to produce value against a deck with 4 push bone crushers and also the dreadboards, right?
Yeah, and
sounds like lunacy to me.
Yeah, the most important thing I think, because like Shredder is very similar in that regard, like you need it to survive, but the impact of Shredder is a lot more, it's a lot more impactful than Pyro is. Because, like, Pyro just makes a 1/1. I don't care about a 1/1. A Shredder is so much more problematic if you can activate it on turn 3. Even if you get 1 activation out of it. If you activate Pyromancer...
Also, Bone Crusher deals 2 damage, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. Like, when people were bringing in Pyro, I was blown away. They were like, yeah... Red-black cuts bone crushers, and it's like, I just won't cut bone crushers. Like, you understand this, right? But, yeah.
So, like, my impression how this matchup goes is that, in general, the Rakdos deck struggles a lot against the card Treasure Cruise. It's, like, kind of hard to beat. It's, like, once it resolves, you draw 3, then it's easy to fuel the next one. Which is why I have the 4th one in the sideboard. Right now, I'm not hyper convinced of that, but just a pattern I've noticed is that when you start drawing cards, when the cards are flowing, then Rakdos looks frankly like a pathetic deck compared to Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some truth in that. I generally agree that Treasure Cruise is a very powerful card, and just having more resources in the grindy matchup I think is really important. I wouldn't say that Treasure Cruise specifically is the thing that swings it in my opinion, but I do agree with you that like snowballing off the first Treasure Cruise is very important, and like I think one of the ways that Phoenix loses the matchup is if their Treasure Cruises can't be cast, and
I think
and if red black can keep up with that card advantage, and there's like a series of ways to do that. It's not often something that happens, but it can happen.
So you said that you don't think that Cruise swings the matchup, but I would estimate that most of the games that you win are the games where you are able to pressure my graveyard and my resources. So I can't cast the first Cruise, and then I can't pop off and like go go cruising and winning. And that's really tough to win at times because then my top decks are bad, like Cruise is not an out, but instead a dead draw, etc. But in every game where I get to cast a Cruise, that like inevitably leads to the second Cruise, even if you have the Hairs in play, right? So that's pretty swingy. That does swing the games.
Yeah, I don't think Cruise is the thing that does it though. Wait, I think I think Cruise is like a result of that happening. So like the thing that I think swings the matchup the most is Shredder. Like Cruise is obviously very good. Yeah, Shredder. I think if I don't kill a Shredder early, I'm losing. And there was a game where you had 3 Shredders. I killed the first one, you played the second one on turn 3 and played a cantrip, and I like was almost 100% sure I was losing the game on the spot because I couldn't answer the second one. And like it no longer matters if I Thoughtseize you or if I put a threat into play. If you have any response to my plays, your Shredder's just what pushes you over the edge. And so like I said, Cruise is important when you can resolve it and when like it snowballs you. But my biggest issue with Cruise is not its best case, which is when you can cast it and resolve it. It's worst case, and which is how I'm beating you. So that's why I don't think it swings the matchup, because like obviously casting a Cruise is important, but it doesn't just win you the game, and it costs a lot for you to do that. It takes turns. You're not normally doing it before turn 4. If you are doing it on turn 4, you probably have to cast to pieces, or like a Shredder has resolved, and I haven't answered it.
Well, so what it sounds like what you're describing is that the power of a Shredder surviving is that it filters my hand and this puts cards in the graveyard so I can cast a Cruise, right? Like Shredder is not like what ends it, because it is a good enabler for the Cruise in the games where it survives for sure, right?
Yeah, but the thing about Shredder is it not only fuels your Cruise, it fuels your Phoenixes, it fuels your what's the lightning bolt that doesn't hit face?
Fire Impulse?
Yeah, it fuels your impulses. It makes it so when you draw some of the redundancy in your deck, you can get rid of it. It makes it so it pressures my life total, which you can't always do. It also is like really efficient on your curve. It allows you to interact on 2.
Well, I think we had games where I cast pieces into Cruise, and that also was kind of like sealing the game. From that point when I'm +4 cards on you, it felt pretty tough to.
I think those games though was like I mentioned this on my stream, but there was a game where I kept like double push, Dreadbore, and a Croxa and 3 lands. And I was like, I'm really good against Shredder, but I'm really bad against no plays pieces.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if I think Shredder's really important in the matchup, which I do, and I draw a threat or I draw a Thoughtseize, I'm in a good spot. But if my opponent doesn't have Shredder and has like cantrip, bunch of removal spells, pieces, like I'm in a bad spot.
Yeah. Well, I did cut 1 Shredder for one of the games, or 2 of the games at least. Especially because of what you say, like you draw a hand of 7 cards and you're like, oh yeah, push Dreadbore. Damn, I'm really good against those Shredders, and I don't have I have less Shredders. I will not draw it. Maybe I will just play a removal spell into pieces, and that removal spell into pieces will always beat a hand like this if you draw it.
Yeah. I definitely, I guess, my response to that is if I think that you don't value Shredder that high, then I will value, I mean, you had double Sweltering Suns, which makes it so I can't just pressure the board the entire time.
Yeah.
But I am...
Sweltering Suns is also a reason as to why I don't like Young Pyro, because I find the 3 damage sweepers to be pretty effective against red-black, because they put you in a tough spot a lot. You like can't just play 2 creatures and go on. Of course, after Brothers War, releases, the Suns are going to be replaced by Brotherhood's End.
Yeah.
There was one situation where I had a Sweltering Suns and I couldn't sweep your unlicensed heirs. That was a bit unlucky on my side.
Yeah, and you had a shredder in play, and I got to attack into your shredder, which was really nice. Put you on the back foot.
Yeah, but my sideboard plan was mostly to cut the trespass. Like that's of course the default that everybody thinks, that the trespass is pretty bad in the matchup, and I think there is not much to discuss here because it is. It's not great, and like you can't really assemble like a combo specifically because you have to spend your cards as they go. You get discarded. You can't really get there. So I was, for the most games, I was boarding something like Spikefield Hazard, 2 Fiery Impulse, Temporal Trespass, and a Galvanic Iteration, or a Shredder, or a Spell Pierce, like one of those 3 is typically cut. And I was bringing my draw spells from the sideboard, Abrades, Sweltering Suns. So there's 2 Abrades right now, Sweltering Suns, Behold, Cruise and Drake. I brought the Search for Ascanta for Science. It looked pretty bad that game. If it was a Crackling Drake in that game, I would be much happier. You did discard a removal to a blood token, but it would be better.
Yeah, I was interested to know why you didn't have Drakes. Not that I think you should, but most other lists I've played have at least 1 post board. Some have it like 1 in the main. I didn't know if that was
I was just trying out stuff. Like Drake is one of the grindy cards I like the most from Phoenix sideboard. I've played many grindy cards. Like I played Vance's Blasting Cannons, but that's only good versus red black, and also in quotation marks because that card kind of sucks when it's in play. You tend to exile Land Phoenix with it and cry. I tried Planeswalkers, but Planeswalkers just seem kind of not good in Pioneer to me. The grindy decks all have manlands, so if you go Planeswalker minus to kill your thing, your Planeswalker can get easily killed by manland, so you kind of bleed value here, or you can get just you plus and you get Dreadboard. There's also not that big value, and Crackling Drake just kind of nice intersection of actually dealing, like being a must deal with threat because it's gonna hit you for 7 damage in the early game and 15 in the late game.
Yeah.
So you really need to kill it immediately, and also it is a card advantage card. Good top deck, can be duressed, so like pretty nice upsides, I think.
Yeah, I agree with all of that.
But there is also one extra point I wanted to bring. Like people sometimes seem to have tons of those weird grindy cards in Phoenix's sideboards. They always it always seems like they're not super effective in the end, or rather they are not effective enough to outweigh the fact that they're not pieces of the puzzle hits. And I think a very easy way to lose to red black too is to hit 0 or 1 cards of pieces, and then you kind of didn't pull ahead with your free cosplay. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, you mean like Saheeli or Chandra or...
Yeah, Saheeli, Chandra, Jaya, Jace.
Yeah.
Teferi, Ral,
I love it when people play those cards against me because...
Keranos.
Keranos. You need to have a good board position. You have to hope that I break on removal for it. If it's something I can't interact with, you have to hope I don't have board positioning. It doesn't get hit by pieces. Yeah.
Also, Twitch chat keeps pestering me specifically about God Eternal Kefnet because somebody somewhere
got a
result with God Eternal Kefnet. Yes.
Is that the 3-mana one?
ETB. No, it's the 4-mana one. It's the zombified one. It's a 4/5 flyer, and it dies to push and Dreadbore. Granted, you can put it third from the top of your library instead of going to the graveyard, but it does not impress me, I think.
So you time walk yourself for a 4/5?
Yeah. Then you can do it again. So it's like reverse temporal trespass.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Red black gets to cast the Temporal Trespass. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that card's sick. You should definitely tell people to play that. It's from War of the Spark. That set was broken.
Exactly. So like your prevailing opinion was that it's a good matchup for you, right?
Yeah, I do think that it is favored for red black. I do not think my sideboard is optimal for the matchup right now because well, it wasn't super popular, and I was sort of ignoring it a bit.
Yeah, only one Go Blank. It did seem like Go Blank had a pretty high correlation with winning the game.
Yeah, I mean,
Casting Go Blank.
my chat pointed out that every time I cast Go Blank, I won like 3 turns later, and
Yeah.
and there were games I won without casting Go Blank, but Go Blank definitely helps a lot with winning, especially if I have a Thoughtseize or a Hearse in play already, or I followed up with a Shoulder or something. So I definitely think one of the Duresses might become a Go Blank, or I might cut one of the other, I don't know, like Consumes All for a Go Blank or something. But yeah, Go Blank impressed me before when Phoenix was popular. I think having 2 is probably what I would play if I was expecting, and I am expecting at least. I don't know if you saw the thing Frank Karsten tweeted this morning.
I did not.
He posted about Modern, Standard, and Pioneer deck percentages in the format, and based on some random events from the weekend, I think it was like the energies and some random other things, Phoenix is now of the second most played decks, or the second most played decks of the data that he collected.
You said it was Karsten?
Yeah, it's on the Magic GG website also.
Let me find that.
And so I've just seen a lot of people talking about Phoenix, and
Metagame Mentor.
yeah, I think that was a tweet. And I thought that was interesting. Like, I don't like to put too much impact into just like random data, but I did think that him posting that was interesting, and it did show that.
I mean, I think people will play Phoenix at their Cs in pretty large amounts. What I found something, but it doesn't seem to have any Pioneer decks. Standard metagame.
Yeah, you gotta scroll down quite a bit. It's Pioneer Metagame Snapshot.
Pioneer metagame. No, it's modern metagame snapshot. Where is Pioneer, bro?
I'm just trolling.
Oh, I see.
Man.
Okay, I see it. Yeah. Wave.
Bros.
Record wave metagame share. Green Devotion 16.5.
Yeah.
Izzet Phoenix with 2 arrows up and Rakdos midrange with 2 arrows down. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think this is a small snapshot of the actual meta, and I don't know how much you should put into this data, but I do think that it is interesting that based on these events alone, Phoenix is on the up and up. I also,
to me, it seemed like it was pretty consistently on the upswing since Stoyer won the MOX.
Yeah,
and kind of like
I agree.
Showed people that you can still play the deck.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. So how do you feel about the matches we played? Do you think that was typical? Do you think there was outliers other than like the Go Blank thing?
I mean, it seemed pretty typical, like pretty clear notion, pretty clear picture is being painted in front of me. I think, like as I said, if Phoenix gets the cards, like that's kind of like how Phoenix works in most matchups, really. So it's not really even red black specific, but when Phoenix gets the card flow going, there is no stopping, and you just cast more cruises or the trespasses with game 1, and you just end up winning at some point with random value that got amassed. So it does seem like, I mean, I think these matches kind of like made me value Spell Pierce higher, Although it's been dead in my hand plenty of times too, but I think there's not that big of a deal to have a dead card in Phoenix. With between Axe and Shredder, you end up being able to discard it pretty often. So I think I will lean towards having 2 Spell Pierce versus Go Blankers. Someone has like 3 Gold Blanks, and I guess I could have 3 Spell Pierce, because it is a humongous blowout. And if you have 3 Gold Blanks and you board them in, assuming you keep Fables, that's 7 free mana sorceries. Those add up.
Yeah.
On top of that, like I think the random like draw spells in the sideboards are probably better for versus red black than grindy cards. But I think I will favor Crackling Drake in my sideboard because of its applications metagame wide. Because I also like it against matchups where I wouldn't want Behold the Multiverse. And it does help cobble together a plan that beats Rest in Peace with its high power. Or Leyline. But yeah, I had Behold the Multiverse in my deck. It seemed okay. It seemed pretty good to draw. Like it was like pretty meaningful one game. Showed up too late or not in a super meaningful way in the remaining games.
Yep, I agree with that.
But it did feel to me like game ones. I think I won all 4 game ones. Like it feels like game 1 is kind of a breeze.
Game 1's close to unwinnable for me. There are sequences that I can beat you game 1, but a lot of it has to do with you drawing the wrong half of your deck for the half of my deck, or like you had Sweltering Suns post board. There are very aggressive draws I can draw game 1 that like really pressure you. Like I think we played a post board game where I went Thoughtseize 2-drop 3-drop, and if you don't have Sweltering Suns there, you're in danger. But like if that doesn't happen game 1, or if I don't have like double Thoughtseize into like Fable or something, like game 1's really bad for me. Yeah.
That means that you're putting lots of faith into your sideboard cards.
I mean,
say that you think the matchup is favorable for you.
Yeah. I mean, I am putting a lot of faith in my sideboard cards. I also think that like red black in general is not favored game 1 across the board in the format. Like whether it be against mono green or Phoenix or even like humans. And I make a lot of concessions in my main deck building for that. I think if I wanted to beat Phoenix game 1, I could certainly change some of the flex spots, but then it makes me weaker against other decks in the format, like some aggro decks. Like I could put 2 Hearse in the main, put a Hearse on the board, and cut the dog and the Abrade, and then just be like, okay, like I'm weak to mono green, and I'm weak to humans, and I'm not the best against blue white game 1, but I can beat those decks game 2 if I have another sideboard plan for them or whatever, right? So. It is just a deck building concession I am making.
But you have currently you currently have 3 power cards in the sideboard and the Duresses, which are improvements over what you're cutting, but I wouldn't say they're super game breaking. They were pretty painful, I guess. Like they were more painful than I kind of expected them to, because you can then take pieces cruise, and then I'm like, well, no, what is my card advantage?
The Duresses, yeah.
But I think they're not really power cards, just like good cards in the matchup.
Yeah, it helps me be efficient against you, so I can double spell, and if I can like hit, like you said, at pieces, and try to strand the cruises in your hand, then you're like, there was a game where you drew like 3 lightning axes, a land, and something else on 5 cards, and I duressed you, and it was like, it didn't matter what I did there, but there are games where if you have one spell that matters in your hand and a bunch of redundancy, duress really helps in that spot. But like realistically, maybe like I think a go blank is better.
My Twitch chat suggested another grindy card for the sideboard, and this time it's a really interesting one.
Okay, I'm excited.
It is Eternal Scourge. I would like to know your opinion about this one.
Well, it has eternal in the name, right? So it must like never die. So like
Do you
even
know
if
what the card does?
I do know what Eternal Scourge does. Yes,
Okay.
people have been trying to grind with that card for years now. It
I mean, I think I would be decently happy. Well, I don't know. I will need to try that out, but I think I would be also decently happy sideboarding this into against humans. They play Rest in Peace. I'm like, yeah, sure, bro. I have a colorless, unkillable.
they're like
right now.
they're playing
You
a
can never
2/1
brave the
Thalia,
elements.
and you're like 3/3, and they go like grow the Thalia, and you're like block. Oh, you have a, and then it just like dies. It's like, oh, actually, never mind, I won't block.
Well, I wouldn't block then. Simply.
Oh, you simply, yeah, my bad. You just attack on the way back. Or like they rest in peace, and you're just like, yeah, I can block forever.
Yeah. I mean, you can block the 2/1s that get pumped by Lighthearted, 2 3/2s, and then replay it, and then block another one.
Are you playing any?
It's probably pretty bad, but.
Are you playing any Shivan Reefs? You might as well just play like Thoughtseise also.
But now we are in a joke territory, and that was a semi-serious suggestion. Because I think it does have
my
merits.
bad.
Thoughtseise pretty obviously doesn't have merits.
Would it be better if I played like some gacha music in the background?
Well, it could. Right. Any other interesting things to point out?
I don't
Spell
think.
Pierce, Young Pyrus, Sweltering Suns.
Did you feel any different about play draw?
I was thinking about taking the draw. Because the Phoenix removals are cheaper than the cards you answer. But kinda I don't have the balls to take the draw at the tournaments anyway, so I just kinda disregarded that, but
Yeah.
I mean I did not keep track of like how many games on the draw were won, but it does really not feel like play draw plays. Like it does not feel like the tempo necessarily plays that big of a role. Like maybe the biggest tempo problems is when there is a Fable involved. But it just feels kinda probably not necessary.
Yeah. I mean, I think I
one
always
line that
lost
is
game
open.
one, so.
Yeah, one line that was open on the draw, but not open on the play is you play free drop, I spell pierce it, and then I play pieces, and then you have no free drop, and I have a free drop. That's cool.
Yeah, the other
Or you
thing
play-
is like spell piercing my Thoughtseize earlier or something, but
Yeah, I rarely fought spell pierce the Thoughtseize, but I guess I would do that if I would have it in my opening hand.
yeah.
But yeah, pieces is a like sorcerer speed draw spell that you want to cast on an empty board.
Yeah.
So you probably just want to take the play.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a game where I missequenced my land and I had to play a tap land on turn 3 and you pieces and do an empty board, and I'm like, okay, we lose. Like, I can't. I'm dead.
Exactly.
Whereas if I play a spell, like, I didn't sequence my lands incorrectly, I could have at least attacked for 3. I don't know if it would have made that big of a difference. Maybe it would have forced you to play differently that turn, but yeah, pieces on an empty board is very backbreaking.
Yeah, also Shouldered is a card. As you know, I'm the like Shouldered's #1 biggest fan in the world, but she kind of tends not to impress in the games that don't already go great for red-black. I was trying a decklist with 4 lightning axes for this too.
Yeah, I saw you had 4.
But I
thought that was weird.
honestly I boarded down the 4th axe for a few of the games because of that, I think, match 1 situation where I got trapped against the graveyard trespasser flipped and I had 2 axes in my hand and I was like, okay, I have to discard all my cards.
Yeah.
Just nothing happens. And if you play draw spells, you can actually find your crews more often. kinda. And also there is one more thing is galvanic iteration, which when I started playing Phoenix, my assumption was to cut it in the matchup because it was a part of the combo package, but it's kind of a reasonable grindy card, so I started keeping it. I didn't have two in all the games, but I think I'll probably construct my sideboard in a way where I just keep both of them because it seems like replacing it with a Behold the Multiverse is like an improvement, but a slim one.
Yeah, I think Iteration's never really dead. It just costs a little bit more mana. Sometimes just like copying a Consider is reasonable. And it does have flashback, so it is like a think twice, I guess. But then the upside is that it copies your really good cards, like Pieces and Treasure Cruise, which isn't negligible. I'm not sure if it's better than just being a Behold, which is just like a better thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that Behold the Multiverse is gonna be a better card, but
okay.
I need to commit a sideboard slot to that, and like if I'm cutting Galvanic Iteration for that, then I could just like devote the sideboard slot to something else.
Yeah, from my side, I don't know if there's a substantial difference. But
there's also the thing with Sheoldred where she's embarrassing if she dies, and she's really threatening if she doesn't. And Galvanic Iteration can serve as a way to kill Sheoldred by copying a pink spell.
I know that you are Sheoldred's biggest fan, and you are really advocating for me to play more Sheoldreds here. But yeah, I do agree that Sheoldred isn't as potent as I would like her to be. And I think the spots where Sheoldred was good, it was when you were already behind on board, like you said, and you already had a bunch of threats that you had to answer. And Sheoldred was just like... Maybe we could
say that she's kind of like a win-more card.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a reasonable assessment of the card Sheoldred, but I do think that there is some inherent power to it. And then the alternate is, like, what is a replacement? I can't play 6 Graveyard Trespassers against you, unfortunately.
True. A card that I would try in red-black if I were playing red-black is the Brothers War Shade. I don't know if that slots necessarily over Sheoldred or anything like that, but that would be a way to lower the curve of the Rakdos deck while also being a late-game threat. Although you frequently have ways to spend mana on demand lands, so that kind of mitigates the usefulness of that ability.
Yeah, that is one card I wanted to try. Phoenix is not really where I expected to shine, and I do think red-black is very mana hungry, and the exiling of Phoenix normally doesn't matter. You also have a lot of very good ways to deal with the card early, and I think
I agree. It's not gonna shine the matchup just in general.
Yeah, I agree in general. Yeah. The unfortunate thing is I do know that Phoenix is very weak to Planeswalkers without like spending a bunch of resources to attack it. Like before Lily was printed and I was playing Chandra. Chandra was something I left in against Phoenix because there was a lot of game sequences where I could play a Chandra and Phoenix would have a hard time interacting with it and would have to spend a bunch of resources to beat it, or else it would like outgrind them. It answered Drake really well, but it was also a liability sometimes because like you're forced to tap out on turn 4, or they do just already have Phoenixes in play.
Yeah, she's pretty poor against the card Arclight Phoenix.
Yeah.
It's just like once again a strike against Planeswalkers in Pioneer. Like you don't even play Liliana, and that feels to me like kinda. Well, no one plays Liliana red black almost, and neither do you. It does feel to me like it's just because the Planeswalkers in Pioneer. It's kind of hostile format to them. Just all the grindy decks where they would normally excel have ways to deal haste damage. So.
Yeah, my biggest issue with Liliana out of red black is that it is not just resource denial for your opponent, it's also resource denial for you. And there are a lot of linear strategies or linear-like strategies in the format that are much better at recouping those advantages than red-black is. For example, like Phoenix has Treasure Cruise, Pieces, even mono, like Lily's good against mono green, but they have Karn, Kiora, Cavalier, Storm. Blue-white has a lot of good cards also, and if you're discarding your resources, you have a harder time interacting with your opponent's resources, which is something you need to do at a card for card basis, or else you're just going to lose on average. If your resources are always exactly the same, which they aren't. So I think Liliana gives you a bit more of a failure against a lot of decks that you should be successful against. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know a good alternative to Shieldred, I guess. Because I already cut Kalidas. I think it is kind of poopy in this matchup.
Yeah, Skaltas is like not great.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. It seems kind of like you say that you have lots of medium cards too, right? In the deck.
Yeah, I mean the deck is just a mid-range deck. It is nothing special. Fable is good, but Fable can't carry the deck on its back, unfortunately, all the time.
I also seen some people sideboard Extinction event for Red Black versus Phoenix. What do you think of this strat?
I think it's wishful thinking. I know there are spots where Extinction Event is good. I think that usually that is not a circumstance that comes up enough where playing a 4-mana sorcery against the blue deck is good. And I also think that a lot of Phoenix decks, not all, like yours specifically, but others also just have ways to get around Extinction Event or exploit that idea. It also makes it so some amount of the time you can't commit to the board out of red-black, which is something you need to do. You also have to wait. Like, you only played one Drake. Let's say opponent's playing like 4 Drakes. If you Extinction Event your opponent's Drake, like at a 1-for-1, because you have to, you're going to die to the Drake, you're still just losing to the card advantage. I think that...
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Extinction Event either. Just, I've seen people do that. I do think it's trying to gear for the wrong game, because like you seem favored in the games where you pressure and keep the graveyard down, and Extinction Event is trying to beat me after I cast 2 Treasure Cruise or something, but that it's like, yeah, you're gonna exile 2 Phoenixes and a Shredder.
Yeah, the damage
is like cool, but I'll probably manage to cobble a win anyways.
Yeah, the damage is already done once you're casting Extinction Event. And then there are like so many spots where it's a 1-for-1, and it's like, wow, I traded Extinction Event for a Shredder, and my Phoenix opponent cast 4 spells and I cast 1. It's like, yeah, this is not a losing, or this is not a winning proposition. I'm just going to be behind. And then it's like, what else are you cutting? Like, I have 3 Dress, Go Blank, Double Hearse. I don't know what else I have room for.
All right, Derek, do you want to play 1 extra match to settle it forever? Because right now we're tied to
forever
2 matches.
Yeah, I'll play 1 more forever.
Yes. All right, let's go.
Okay, cool.
Although chat points out that you did scoop that 1 match, so.
Oh, okay. I mean, like, if you don't want to play another match, we don't have to Kanister. I don't want to like lose game 1 and then beat you in 3 again.
Let's battle.
It's time to duel. Alright, chat. With Mason's help, we will defeat Kanister. not what I wanted to do. I'm not going to add one more go blank. I will probably add one after this, though. Moto. You lose? Yeah, that's true. This is a hand that can win game one. What bro cards am I planning on testing? I want to try the shade. I might play go for the throat. I want to try Dreams of Sinew and Steel, Blood and Steel. Look out, Mason. New Lava Coil? I wasn't impressed with old Lava Coil. So I don't think new Lava Coil changes that much. Like, I know it hits Planeswalkers or whatever, but... I played Strangle for the hit Planeswalkers angle before, but I wasn't super pieces. It's a good draw. Come on, Mason, let's come up here. I think it is better to prevent my opponent from snowballing. We know the content of their hand. I think it's going to be hard for them to, they'd have to draw untapped land, 1 mana spell. I do have an answer for one of the Phoenixes. You had to take Opt? I did not have to take Opt. I think taking Opt there is really loose. Like, really, really, really loose. We don't even have enough pressure where, like, taking the Opt actually changes a lot. What happens if you cast Trespasser instead? They get to double spell, grow their Ledger Shredder. They get Lightning Axe this. So they get, like, consider Lightning Axe loot. If they draw a 1 mana spell, they get to put this into play, and now I have to deal with both. I think it is more likely that they don't get to do that if I just kill the Shredder. Like, I don't know. I talked about this with Kanister a lot. I really value Ledger Shredder out of Phoenix. I think it's a very important card for them to have. And if it goes unanswered, you're probably in danger. Yeah. Fire Impulse and Opt. So I can put them to 2. Or flip this Graveyard Trespasser. It probably flips back. Makes it so they can't impulse it on their turn, though. I know 3 of the cards in their hand. I think if I play second Trespasser, it's harder for them to kill me. I don't think I'm leaving this away. Why Dreadboard and not push Shredder? Because Dreadboard's sorcery speed also. Mana efficiency, Dreadboard sorcery speed. That is Mason Clark, yes. I could have slammed for 10. Maybe I'm supposed to. Didn't end up mattering. Maybe I'll do this. Now that I know he's not sideboarding in young PC. Side character on an episode of Dr. Phil. True. into Wadawara. Alright. Go blank would be sick. Didn't cast it. We draw a Phoenix? Oh, we're shocking. Oh. Ugh. Opt and consider. Oh, I guess it's better to keep it if they have suns, right? Yeah. You find Go Blank good against Mono Green and Omnath Fires? Yes. Braid into their graveyard. Yeah, red black versus heroic. One on top, one on bottom. Pieces or treasure cruise, I assume. I don't know what else you would keep on top other than those two. He's sick. No. Fire's Omnath is not a good matchup. It's not that bad, but I don't think it's good. Hashtag no bad matchups. True. One on top, 0 on bottom. Unlucky. When are they fixing Croxa? Never. That's how it works now forever. We got a Drake. 15-4. Was this a 9 mana Croxa? It was only 6 mana. I discarded it to a blood. You think Rolling Vortex is good in a meta with many fires of inventions? Probably not. They can just choose not to cast the fires, right? They also have ways to deal with it. You can also just beat that deck. Like, it's not unbeatable. I think Duress or Thoughtseize or whatever is much better. Your turn. Even with fires out, yeah, true. You can like they can just ignore it. Been through 3 axes, 1 impulse, 1 abrade. Discards chart of course. Discards Galvanic Iteration. You only have 11 cards in your deck? You've only seen 2 Phoenixes? That's unlucky. We definitely got a little lucky there. I mean, we did flood out, though. Our curve was really good both games. Can't look at it anymore? Alright. How can he kill Crocs out 1 life? It's very hard to do. Alright. Well, that was good. That was fun. I hope you all enjoyed that. I think despite me being up 3-2 against Kanister in the matchup, I do think it is still close. This is definitive that Red-Black is favorite. Oh yeah, true. Now I can brag on the internet. I beat the Pioneer Master. Seems advantageous for black-red players. Thoughts? Whatever. I think open deckless is whatever. I think if your deck is weak to being open deckless, it might just not be a good deck, but whatever. The challenge champion reigning. Exactly. So I guess talking about specifically the Phoenix red-black matchup, I do think it is close. I do think red-black is favored. I do think that game one is rough. I do also think that you can build your deck game one to be targeted towards Phoenix. And I do think that having go blanks post board is very important for the matchup. And I do think that my biggest takeaway from it is that there's a lot of interesting plays you have to make in the matchup. It's not just always straightforward, etc. Croxes seem powerful. Yeah, when I can put it into play, it's very good against you because you have a hard time killing it and it eats a card every turn. That's why I like it in the matchup, because it works as a threat that doesn't die very easily. It usually eats 3 cards, whereas like Shouldered eats only 2, right, at best. I mean, like, you die sometimes, but Crocs is a lot, like, the games where I can go Thoughtseize, creature, you kill it, Fable, put Crocs into play on turn 4 or 5, like, it's just very good. What would you cut for a second go blank? I'd probably cut a Duress or a Consumes All. Depends on how much, I don't really want 5 discard spells post board. I think 5 is a lot. But like, having a lot of Duress and having a lot of go blank also respects the Karuga Yorion piles. So. Yeah, that's just a taller, slightly older version of me behind me. Is Aethergust playable card to combat the Kroxa? I mean, I don't think that having Aethergust just for Kroxa is a reason to have Aethergust. But like some Phoenix decks do play Aethergust for like mono green, so it's not like you have to make room in your sideboard anyways. But I think it's a lot better to try to just dodge the Kroxa, but I don't know. I don't play Phoenix, or I haven't played it in months, so I can't say exactly how the post-board configuration would be better to beat the Kroxa. What do you think about siding in Bankbuster if you know they're playing sweepers? My issue with Bankbuster is that I think you have to be committing on curve against Phoenix. You don't really have the opportunity to try to outgrind them with card advantage. You have to try to outgrind them by like pinpointing their cards and making them invalid. And Bankbuster doesn't really do that. If you're worried about Wraths, you should just not play as many threats into play. A lot of your cards, Trespasser, Shieldred, Bloodtithe Harvester, all have value other spots. You can just choose not to play them. If they Wrath a Fable token away, you're not losing a card. So, Buster's actually not underwhelming for too much mana. I think Buster's actually very good for its mana cost. The matchup is not about that, though. The matchup is about interacting on curve with if you have the opportunity to, and if you put cards in your deck that take away that opportunity or who don't interact on curve when you have that opportunity, like, you probably shouldn't put them in your deck. It's possible. Consumes All. Consumes All is also good against specifically, what's the card? Shaper Sanctuary. Which is why I have it over like a Witch's Vengeance, and because it deals with sacrifice. But like, yeah, I mean, maybe I want that over the Consumes All Brother's End, because it does deal with the problematic artifacts out of sacrifice. Is Shaper Sanctuary even that good against red-black mid? Shaper Sanctuary is the only card out of the green creature decks that makes the matchup unwinnable. There's no other card in those matchups other than Shaper Sanctuary that I'm worried playing against. Out of the Angels, green-white humans, Bant humans, Shaper Sanctuary is... Like, if Shaper Sanctuary was more played in the format, red-black would be drastically worse. Like, even, like, 2 Cocos is beatable. I can, like, race 2 Cocos. They don't come down until turn 4. I can kill the creatures, like... Coco's a little random. Sometimes they brick, right? You can interact. You can Extinction Event the creatures. It's just, like... Shaper Sanctuary you can't beat. It's so hard. Not something I'm willing to, like... Like, not having Answers to Sanctuary is, like, puts you at a disadvantage against stuff like Angels. Not that I think Angels is like, a high percentage deck, but, like, the reason why I have Consumes All is because it's good against Sacrifice, it's good against humans, and it's good against the green creature decks. If there's a better card for 2 of those matchups, then, like, maybe I'd cut it. But it's something I'd have to think about more. You can see it on the spot, turn 1 Sanctuary. I mean, it... No, but I'm certainly like, okay, this game is going to be hard now. Don't you like... No, I do not like Consumes All versus Mono Green. No, not at all. I think that card's unplayable versus Mono Green. What? I think if you're bringing this in against Mono Green, you're hemorrhaging numbers. I think if you're bringing this in against, like, anything that isn't a deck with Sanctuary, Mono White, or Sacrifice, you're hemorrhaging numbers. Like, I don't even know if this card should be in the sideboard. Usually, like, I have K Command, Abrade, and another Abrade. It's possible this just shouldn't be here. Okay, yeah, I mean, this is fine against Gruul also. I think I brought it in against Greasefang. But I don't like it against Greasefang. It has been very good against Greasefang. It's put me in positions where I don't think I could win otherwise. But I think there are better cards than this against Greasefang. Bant and Mono Blue Spirits. I would not bring this in against Mono Blue. I would bring this in against Bant. Yes, it is a green creature deck. With Shaper Sanctuary. Don't you bring against red-green aggro? The issue out of red-green aggro is not the tokens. I mean, like, maybe I would. It depends exactly on the configuration. The issue out of red-green aggro is... oh, red-green aggro? Like the Bushwhacker deck? Yeah, sure. I do bring it in there. But, like, out of the red-green mid-range deck is, like... Is Chariot... what's the Enchanty? And Boat. Which Consumed All doesn't deal with at all. What do I think about Ritualist Soot? It's really slow. It's better cards. Much better cards. This card's only good against Chariot, though. It's not... It's, like, really wishful thinking if you expect it to, like, be the thing that breaks open the matchup. But, like, I guess when you have so many other pieces, like... It doesn't make it that bad to bring in, which is why I do bring it in, but, like... I just want better things. It just, like, because it's so good against Sacrifice, and because it's good against humans is why I have it. It has some, like, use other places, but I don't think I would have it in my sideboard if it wasn't for those 2 matchups I talked about. Doesn't seem to... No, it's only a 3/3. Anything you change in the 75? You're expecting a lot of mirror? No, I like my deck for the mirror. Maybe I would add another grindy card post board. Maybe an Invoke. I wanted to see if Invoke was good against the Karuga decks, but I haven't actually pulled the trigger on that yet. And I feel like I'm beating the Karuga decks enough where I don't know if I want it. But, like, I'm not super worried about playing the mirror. I'm very comfortable with it. I guess a couple things changed. Like, maybe this should be a go for the throat. I mean, I think if Invoke is good against Karuga, I can cut one of these for an Invoke and then just bring this like this, maybe. I mean, a lot of people are playing Boat. I think if they're expecting Boat and this is a go for the throat, maybe it should just be like this. So, I don't know. I don't have any major changes for the mirror. I also want to try Dreams of Sinew and Steel? Blood and Steel? I don't know why I keep saying Sinew and Steel. Is that the sword? The red-black sword is Sinew and Steel? One Invoke is a wild card against Karuga Mirror Grindy. Seems fine. Steel and Oil, yeah. There is a sword. Yeah, I think having Invoke as a wild card against those decks is... Like, that's what I really don't want to be doing. I don't just want, like, a catch-all. I want a specific card that does something very targeted that is a part of a game plan. Having an Invoke that's like, oh, this is maybe good against these matchups, because I'm not convinced it is. Which is why I don't have it in my board right now. Oh, yeah, we are playing Bank Buster. I guess if you can't see the full thing. Come back down here, Mason. We can throw this out. You just want Mason in the front? Just put Mason in all the pictures of all the... There should be a saga with just Mason. I think that's all I got. Unless you have any more questions, chat. Make it look like Mason's playing. Oh, it's early access Brothers War. That's why there's so many arena streamers right now. I was wondering why there's so many Brothers War streamers. Like right now. It's early access. Makes sense. Don't you like Invoke against Mono Green? No. Thoughts on that blue-black control deck that's been floating around? I think it's worse than blue-white. How do you board against Karuga? No, I cut all my pushes. Maybe I shouldn't. I think dealing with the Fable is the most important thing. Okay, so I guess I'll back that up. I think dealing with the good cards in their hand is the most important thing. I think Fable is the second most important thing in their deck. So, like, maybe having Fatal Push for the backside of Fable or Token is really important, so you can be efficient on mana. But, like, I cut 4 Fatal Pushes to Kalidas, and, like, having Bone Crusher Giant to deal with the little shitty and Dreadbore is enough, but... If WotC gave me a preview card, would you accept it? 100%. So new cards besides Brotherhood that you would want to try. I want to try the Shade. I want to try 2 of them. I think it makes your mono green matchup slightly better, which is good. What spots would you cut for Shade? I think the easiest spots. I was thinking about this earlier. I think I would cut the Underdog. I think I would move a Kalitas to the board. I think I would play 2 Shades. I think I would trim on the Consumes All. And I think I would cut an event for a Go Blank. Or maybe I would cut a Duress for a Go Blank. But I don't know the full sideboarding map for the format, so that might change also. So I think that the Phoenix and Red-Black matchup is close. I think Red-Black's favored. I think if anything, the matchups today showed more about how play patterns play out, not necessarily indicative of what deck is the best or whatever, or better. I think the matchup's close. I think a lot of winning the matchup has to do with obviously how you play, but in very specific circumstances. It's possible I misevaluated Ledger Shredder's impact, and I should be focusing on more of targeting Treasure Cruise. Like Kanister said, he felt it was the most important card in the matchup. I'm happy with my sideboard plan. I think I will add another Go Blank for the matchup. Yeah. Thanks everybody for watching. The VODs will be accessible if you want to watch them. Shout out Kanister for doing this with me. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I hope you all also enjoyed it. And if you want to check out Kanister's VODs, they're at Kanister_MTG. I don't know if they're accessible by non-subs, so unlucky if they aren't. Just subscribe to his channel. And thank you all for watching. I'm going to put these matches up on YouTube. So you should subscribe and follow me there. You should also follow me on Twitter. And if you want more info on Red Black and how I approach the Phoenix matchup, I have a guide. I actually have multiple guides on my Patreon at patreon.com/Misplacedginger. And I also have a Discord below that anybody can access. I think that's all the shilling I have. Alright, thanks for watching, everyone.